Hello everybody, Gage here from Sharp, back at you with another sharpening related video, and today we're talking about sharpening on a budget. Now you'll find in most sharpening tutorials, ours included, you will be recommended a 3 grit progression, coarse, medium, and fine, a flattening tool, and a honing tool of some kind. Now while this setup will enable you to be prepared for any sharpening task you may come across. So whether that's repairing a knife, whether you've got a chip or maybe the tip missing, maybe just sharpening an extremely dull knife that hasn't been sharpened in a long time, and then polishing that knife up to a very high grit to allow you to work with intricate veg prep or slicing raw fish. This setup isn't totally necessary. In fact, if you're just looking to maintain a brand new knife or sharpen a recently sharpened knife, all you'll really need is a 1000 grit stone, a flattening tool of some kind, and a honing tool of some kind, and not all of these need to break the bank. Our suggestion here is to save money where you can on the stropping tool and the flattening tool, and not to cheap out by getting a $20 Amazon special whetstone. While you may not notice a huge difference between a mid-level stone and a high-level stone, you'll certainly know that a shitty stone is a shitty stone. These $20 Amazon special whetstones tend to be very sandy and they'll wear away super quick. You'll also find that the grit that is specified on the stone isn't usually all that accurate. We've come across stones labeled as 1000 grit stones that are more akin to like a 320 or low grit stone, which is not going to help you get that really nice edge that you're looking for. Furthermore, you'll find that these really sandy stones are going to wear away super quick, and you'll have a hard time keeping it flat with a naniwa truing stone. Eventually, both of these will become warped and wonky, and it's going to be impossible for you to get either tool flat again. For the one stone that you do buy, we still recommend spending around $50 to $75 on a 1000 grit stone. This 1000 grit stone is the most versatile of all the grits. It will still allow you to reshape your bevels, get a new edge put on your knife with a little work, and with lightening your hand pressure towards the end of the sharpening process, you'll still get a very serviceable edge, one that you should be able to shave your arm hairs with after you've honed your knife on a piece of leather or a stack of newspapers. So a common misconception, and something that I struggled with a little bit when I was learning sharpening, was thinking that polishing your knife up to a higher grit is going to make your knife sharper. This in fact is not true, and if you are using improper technique, doesn't matter how high a grit you polish your knife on, you're not going to get a great or sharp edge. If you're unable to achieve a very sharp edge off of a 1000 grit stone and a honing tool of some kind, chances are you need to revisit your sharpening technique before you start experimenting with those higher grit stones. These higher grit stones in the range of like 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 are definitely nice to have if you're doing a lot of very intricate veg prep or slicing raw, delicate fish. But again, if you're unable to get a nice sharp knife off of your 1000 grit stone, these higher grit stones are going to do nothing for you. Keeping your stone flat is super important, of course, and a relatively high quality 1000 grit stone is going to remain flat for longer than a really cheap one. And this will allow you to use a more affordable flattening tool to keep your stone flat. An Atoma diamond plate, of course, being the most luxurious product to do so, but you can certainly get away with just a naniwa truing stone for about $80 cheaper if you're maintaining the flatness of your stone rather than trying to fix it. We've come across a number of different options for flattening your stones on the internet, of course, one of which being the sidewalk trick. We certainly don't recommend flattening your whetstone on a sidewalk, because typically sidewalks aren't super flat either, and they don't have a really flat and consistent surface to them, which is going to translate into an inconsistent finish on your stone, which is then going to impact your sharpening, of course. We've also seen people use sandpaper bound to something just to keep it in place. And while this does work in a pinch, we don't recommend using this as your primary flattening tool, because chances are the money you spend on sandpaper will equate to the same amount of money on a naniwa truing stone, which is going to last much longer. You can also do a lot of other things with your naniwa truing stone, including tip repairs or sharpening a really dull knife, because these truing stones are in the 220 grit range, so they're great for removing material from your knife in addition to flattening your stone. In our mind, the best place to save money when constructing your sharpening kit is on a honing tool. Now, while a leather strop or like a paddle strop is certainly a joy to use and will be very effective at removing any micro burrs and getting that edge screaming sharp, there are definitely other tools and methods that you can use to get similar results. When I was first learning to sharpen, I just used to use a leather belt that I would hook onto my table and use that to strop my knife. You can use a big thick stack of newspapers and use that to strop your knife with really great results. We've even used denim jeans to strop, or even just the skin on your arm. Of course, being very careful when you do that. Now, while many of these methods might not get the exact same results as a leather strop, they're still going to drastically improve your sharpening. There are also some really great tools like a stone holder or a sink bridge, which are going to allow you to keep the mess contained and give you a little bit of knuckle clearance above the surface that you're working on. Of course, these are great tools to have and make the sharpening process a lot more enjoyable, but you can get similar effects from working just off the left hand side of your sink and using a towel to scoop up any mess as you go, or working close to the edge of a countertop to get yourself a little bit more hand clearance. Again, a lot of these tools are really nice to have, but they're not going to get your knife any sharper in the end. They'll likely just make the whole process a little bit more enjoyable. Like we talked about, all you really need is a good quality 1000 grit stone, a flattening tool of some kind, and a strop of some kind. As your sharpening improves and you sort of understand the process a little bit more, you'll have a better understanding of what tools will be right for you to invest in and provide you the most value. That's the word I was looking for. Provide you with the most value. So your sharpening is improving and you're really happy with the edge that you're getting off of a 1K stone, but maybe you're letting your knife go a little bit between trips to the whetstone. In that scenario, maybe investing in a 320 or a 700 grit stone would be a good idea. Just help you speed things along, get that burr developed a little bit quicker than spending all that time on a 1000 grit stone. On the flip side of that, you're getting a great edge off of your 1K, but you're just not finding it as amazing as you'd like it to be for maybe slicing raw fish or something like that. In that scenario, investing in a 5000, 8000 or higher grit stone would be advantageous for you and probably provide a lot of value. All right, well, that's it for today, guys. I hope you got some value out of this video. If any of you have any tips or tricks for sharpening on a budget, we'd love to hear your comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more knife-related content, and make sure to check out our other sharpening videos, like our definitive guide to sharpening, where we take a super dull knife and get it shaving sharp. But until the next video, thank you so much for watching, guys, and stay sharp.
We did it!
That was way better. Actually use that as a YouTube video.
Ooh.
I think.
We can do it.
I think we can. Cool. Awesome.